Monster Club from 1981 is a fun little creature feature that stars some big-time horror legends, such as John Carradine, Donald Pleasence, and even Vincent Price. I love this movie. I first saw it on a late-night local horror show and thought it was a great idea. A monster anthology movie that features 3 main stories and 1 bookend story, with Vincent Price and John Carradine talking about all kinds of different monsters in between. As the movie opens, we see some of the horror novels written by R. Chetwood Hayes, played by the aging Carradine. While admiring his work, Chetwood inadvertently offers a vampire, played by Vincent Price, some of his blood.
I'm famished. I haven't had supper for 2 weeks.
Well, I'll be glad to give you some money for food.
Can't keep food down. Never could.
I'll do anything I can to help you.
Anything? Oh, thank you.
Right off the bat, you can tell we are seeing some great actors working together. Price introduced himself as Aramis, the vampire, and assures him that he didn't bite deep enough to turn Chetwood. As a way to repay him for the blood, Aramis offers Chetwood material for his next book by taking him to a monster club.
Where is this place? It's just a short distance. It's called the Monster Club.
This is where the classy, theater-trained acting stops and the 80s oh-so-good corny begins. Right off the bat it hits you. The music, the monsters, the hair, it's all great. The effects are so obviously masks. It makes it look like a Halloween party. I compare these dancing scenes to a low-end cantina scene from Star Wars. There are so many different types of creatures to look at all over the place. Only in Star Wars the effects were good. Here, not so much. John Carradine is great for this role, always with a grin on his face and just accepts everything Aramis tells him. I think most people would be like, holy crap, look at all these things, but it's just another day for him. You can tell Vincent Price is also having fun. Here's a guy that is a movie legend, with roles like The 10 Commandments, House on Haunted Hill, yet he will also do children's shows, and he's not afraid to play a part for a laugh.
What's this?
Oh, that's a monster's genealogical chart.
Aramis goes over the monster genealogical chart, which is a staple to the movie. It describes different types of monsters and their powers.
You see, first we have the primate monsters, vampires, werewolves, and ghouls. Now, a vampire and a werewolf would produce a were-vamp. But a werewolf and a ghoul would produce a were-ghoul. But a vampire and a ghoul would produce a vam-ghoul. A were-ghoul and a were-vamp would produce a shaddy. Now, a were-ghoul and a vam-ghoul would produce a maddie. But a were-vamp and a vam-ghoul would produce a ratty. Now, if a shaddy were to mate with a ratty or a maddie, the results would be a mock.
A mock?
Frankly.
So, did you get all that? Okay, good, because I didn't. Our first story is of the Shadmock, a creature that is known for its whistle. A couple of robbers need a big job, so the plan is for Angela to work for a rich man who needs help cataloging items in his house. Once she has access to the safe, they will steal everything of value. Angela is played by Barbara Kellerman, probably most famous for her role as the White Witch in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. She does a great job, but the real star of the show is Raven, the Shadmock, played by James Lawrenson. He plays the role perfectly. He's creepy, yet you feel sympathy for him, as he is a lonely man. Raven and Angela meet. His house is beautiful and full of priceless antiques. It seems like it would be an easy job. However, Raven warns he is hard to work with, and with one glance, Angela leaves in terror. She eventually gets over her fear, returns the next day, and starts working with Raven on cataloging his things.
I must never go near people. I can never go outside these grounds.
Aren't you ever lonely?
If only you knew the agony of my loneliness. Some of my relations visit me from time to time, but they're different.
But why can't you go out?
Well, there's all the noise, the traffic.
We learn that he can never leave his house because of the noise that the outside world makes, so he never goes out and rarely gets visitors. Therefore, his only friends are the birds. A cat is seen attacking one of Raven's birds, and we get to see the Shadmock's whistle in action.
No!
He kills the cat, burning it down to goo. It's a clever attack that you don't really see anywhere else. Killed by a whistle.
No, my things are much better here with me. Angela, will you marry me?
Angela sees the location of the safe, and Raven asks Angela to marry him. A little soon, but that's okay. Her boyfriend sees this as an opportunity to get into the safe. Angela will say yes to Raven, and while he's getting a ring from his safe, she will look over his shoulder and remember the combination. Angela is getting second thoughts about the job, but she's going to go through with it. While opening the safe, Raven explains that he is a Shadmock, and that he wants to throw an engagement party so Angela can meet his relatives. While he is talking, Angela is looking over his shoulder for the combination to the safe.
I have something of a confession I must make to you. I am a Shadmock. I don't suppose you know what that is. If I ever whistle, well, I must never whistle, no matter what happens.
The party is a costume party. This is a clever way for Angela to meet Raven's family without her actually seeing that they're monsters. During the party, Angela sneaks away to open the safe and steal its contents. She gets caught, and Raven is heartbroken, but he believes that she could still love him.
The money and the other things that don't matter to me. Take them. Do what you want with them. Give them to whomsoever you please. But you could still love me.
No. Don't touch me. That's all I've wanted from you.
Don't say that. You mustn't say that.
I could never love you. Horrible. No. Horrible. Horrible. I could never love you, never. You're horrible.
This scene is quite heartbreaking, although I suppose a Shadmock's whistle is pretty bad.
Well, did you get it?
Angela is alive and goes back to her boyfriend. The segment ends with a heartbroken Shadmock, showing that humans are sometimes the real monsters.
There is nothing sadder than the agonized grief of a tender-hearted monster. They're playing my song.
Hey, fix me a drink and make it a Bloody Mary.
Back in the club, we hear the song Sucker for Your Love, my personal favorite song in this whole movie. This guy's great. The next story is about the vampire, and is meant to be more funny than scary. We are introduced to a family whose father works nights and sleeps all day. The boy wishes his father could play with him throughout the day, but his father must sleep. When questioned about what he does for a living, the father won't answer, only revealing that they should fear men carrying violin cases.
What do you do?
I lighten the burden of those who have too much and receive certain nutritional benefits in return. A nip and a suck, and they never feel a thing. But I must always be on the lookout for the plenie, the B squad. Beware of men carrying violin cases.
You daren't do that. Cry, baby. Read.
At school, the boy is teased by some other kids, and none other than Donald Pleasance is there watching him.
Oh, come on, I'll walk home with you and see that they don't harm you.
He offers to walk the boy home, and the boy tells him all the details of his past and his father, including where he sleeps. Later, we discover that Pickerings, played by Pleasance, is working with the men carrying the violin cases. The boy decides he's going to sneak into where the father sleeps, but he sees him in a coffin. He runs outside, right into Pickering's hands, who demands they take him to see his father. We find out that really Pickering's is part of a team called B Squad, who seek out and kill vampires. Pickering's opens the violin case, revealing a stake. He kills the father, right in front of the boy and his mother. But not before the vampire turns him. Pickering's is then staked by his own men. Back in the basement, the father reveals that he is alive, well, as alive as a vampire can be, and they live happily ever after.
It's a good thing I always wear a stick-proof vest filled with tomato ketchup.
Back in the club, we hear another song. The only good thing about this song is a part where a girl takes everything off, and I mean everything. The third and final story focuses on the Hume-Goo, a cross between a human and a ghoul. Sam, the director of a movie, needs to find the perfect location to shoot his horror movie. He finds an old village named Lowville. The village seems to be exactly what Sam needs. Old houses, a church, and even a creepy graveyard.
No!
Sam enters what seems to be an inn that hasn't had a guest in decades.
Innkeeper?
The innkeeper tells him that you will need permission to film there from the elders in the village. All of a sudden, everyone in the village is there. And they sabotaged his car. The man is forced into a room, quite literally. The innkeeper's daughter offers the man some stew. She informs him that the villagers get everything they need, from food to clothes, by digging up the graves. The girl is the Hume-Goo, and because of this, she is able to help Sam. The villagers plan on burying him in the graveyard, and then eating him. The villagers attack like zombies. However, they won't enter the church, so he retreats to there. In the church, he learns the story of the town. A ghoul was in the village, and everyone wanted to kill it. However, the pastor took pity on the ghoul and tried to help it. Still, the ghoul fed on the dead. They chased the one away, but more would come, and eventually took over the town. The girl, being half human and half ghoul, is able to enter the church and is unaffected by a cross, which seems to harm the others. Sam and the girl run away from the village, with the town chasing them, throwing stones.
And stop them.
They make it back into the mist, which the villagers cannot pass, but the girl gets hit by a rock, which breaks her back, and she dies. Sam escapes, makes it back to the highway, where he flags down the police.
There's a village up there. A village of... Well, look, if you'll take me to the police station...
But instead of taking him to the police station, they take him back to the village. Because the police are ghouls as well.
Oh, Mr. Club Secretary, I want to propose my friend here as a member of this August Assembly.
Back at the club, Aramis proposes that Chetwood become a member of the Monster Club. The other monsters don't want him because he is human and not a monster. However, Aramis describes that humans are the real monsters of this world. This part is cheesy, but Vincent Price plays it great.
In the past 60 years, Humes have exterminated over 150 million of their own kind. No effort has been spared to reach this astronomical figure, and the methods that they have used must demand our unstinted admiration. You know, Humes began with certain very serious disadvantages, but these they overcame with wonderful ingenuity. Not having a fang or a claw, or even a whistle worth talking about, they invented guns and tanks and bombs and aeroplanes and extermination camps and poison gas and daggers and swords and bayonets and booby traps and atomic bombs and flying missiles, submarines, warships, aircraft carriers, and motor cars. They have even perfected a process whereby they can spread a lethal disease on any part of this planet. Not to say anything about nuclear power. Oh, during their short history, you know, Humes have subjected other Humes to death by burning, hanging, decapitation, strangulation, electrocution, shooting, drowning, crushing, racking, disemboweling, and other methods far, far too revolting for the delicate stomachs of this August Assembly. Maestro, to celebrate the installation of a new member, may we hear our song?
The last song is appropriately titled, Welcome to the Monster Club. It's the one last time we get to see those masks that are not fooling anyone. Even babies know this isn't real. But it doesn't matter, because in the end, you're still going to have a smile on your face.
You're reading books about the things that chill the human heart. I was necking with my girlfriend when she just stepped out the lane, saying thanks for the memory as she took a bigger bite. And there's the blood. Welcome to the Monster Club.
The Monster Club is a product of the 80s. It's fun and doesn't take itself too seriously. The music is atmospheric when it needs to be, and 80s all the other times. You'll be humming some of those club tunes for days to come. There's a big shift between the club and the stories, which breaks up any of the seriousness and makes it family friendly. As I said before, I love this movie, and I highly recommend it. I give it 4 out of 4 blood-sucking sounds.